Alright guys, welcome back to another movie review. This time I saw Lords of Salem, a new film by Rob Zombie. If you're into Rob Zombie stuff, which I usually am, you may like this film. It's not that it was bad as much as I have no idea what the fuck was going on. I guess I gotta get into the premise to really kind of explain this. Uh, okay, let's start at the beginning, I guess. So there's this bit about the Salem witch trials, obviously, and then it jumps ahead to the future current time, whatever you want to call it, where we're introduced to Sherry Moon Zombie because for some reason Rob Zombie wants to put his wife in every film he makes. I mean, she's an attractive lady, but she doesn't need to be in everything, Rob. Come on. You know? So we're introduced to her character, and then it's just this boring, endless. Jesus, I don't even know how long it was. It seemed like a good hour, but it was probably only like 15 to 20 minutes of this character's just boring everyday life. There was nothing going on. There's nothing to draw me into what's going on with this character or why anything's going on. Who the fuck is she? Why am I supposed to care? Then you find out she works at a radio station. And they get this record delivered by the mail, and she's going to take it home and listen to it because they do like a, what do you call it, a hit or miss type of thing with independent releases, I guess. So she takes it home and listens to it, and then weird shit starts to happen around her house. Then the next day at the radio station, when they play it for the hit or miss thing, I forget what they call it in the movie. They had a better name for it. I just can't think of it right now. So they play it for that, and then it starts to give her a headache. Then it then as the movie goes on, she starts to act more and more weird, and then you find out that she used to be addicted to drugs, but she's clean. But the more and more weird that she acts, the people who work with her at the radio station start to think she's back on drugs again. She says she's not. Then she really starts to hallucinate real bad. So then it gets to a point where she actually relapses onto drugs because she's seen so much fucked up shit. She's just trying to zone out, I guess, and escape from it. So she actually turns back to the drugs. And but that's more towards the end of the movie. So yeah, there's a bunch of shit going on that's loosely tied to the Salem witch shit that happened in the beginning, but for the most part in this movie, the witches aren't present. Really, the only tie to the witches is a guest they have on the radio show who's selling a book about the Salem witch trials, which is when they do the hit or miss with the record, and he's kind of intrigued by the name of the band. Then he finds out that the music is actually from a journal that he researched when he wrote his book. And then he looks up as the DJ starts to have more shit going on with her, he actually looks up like her family history and finds out that she was a direct descendant of the priest who dealt with the witches back in the beginning of the movie. And then you find out that the head of the witches back then put a curse that she would rise again and destroy all the Salem-born women, or take them. I forget what the fuck it was. But, so yeah, basically it's just Sherry Moon Zombie seeing a bunch of fucked up shit. Like at one point she sees this other DJ that she works with who loves her and she loves, but they can't tell each other they love each other even though they both know. because of whatever reason. She actually sees him, like, these figures appear behind him and touch him, and he, like, instantly dies, and he's, like, all gray and shit. So she's freaking out about that, even though it didn't really happen. Then there's this subplot with the witches are trying to use her as a vessel to bear the seed of Satan or something like that. So she's supposed to give birth to a hell spawn or whatever. So then there's this weird shit where they put her in this empty apartment, which then there's this big furry beast standing there while she stands in front of a neon cross. Then she comes back out, nothing happens there. Then they put her in there again, and then she's in this cathedral with this weird fucking midget potato looking guy. I don't know what the fuck it was supposed to be, and it had like these weird tentacles that were like slapping her. And she was like holding on to them and like freaking out. And apparently that was her having sex with this thing. But then she wakes up back in bed, like it was all a bad dream. So then she goes back to sleep, and then the damn thing's standing next to her bed. And yeah, it's Rob Zombie. You know, what the fuck do you expect? So then turns out that she is going to bear the seed. And this is about the time when, you know, she's seeing all this fucked up shit, and that's when she resorts back to drugs. There's also this back thing going on where the band who sent the record into the radio station is doing a free private concert to select people, and the radio station's going to host it or cover it. So they're all going to that. And there's this really confusing moment that's never really explained, where the guy who likes her goes to pick her up for the radio gig, and, you know, she's all stoned out of her head, obviously, and there's some tie-in with her landlady's a witch, or part of the coven or whatever, and she asks him to wait downstairs, and he's like, no, fuck you, I'm not leaving her. And then Sherry Moon Zombie's like, no, just wait downstairs. And then he goes downstairs, the landlady goes down with him, and apparently explains something to him. And then they both show up at the thing together, and the third DJ's there, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? And the other DJ, who's like her boyfriend, sort of, is like, we'll talk about this tomorrow, let's just get through tonight. You know, get this shit done, we'll deal with this other shit tomorrow. But they never... That's the end of those two. They're never seen again through the entire movie. Nothing's ever explained about what was explained to him, why he said, let's just get through the... You know, what brought him around, what the fuck's going on. So, then they have the concert, which all the witches are reborn somehow. Sherry Moon's character gives birth to this demon seed, which is like this weird tentacle thing. It's not even really any form of humanoid. It's just all these weird tentacles. I don't even know what to compare it to, honestly. Not like a squid, because a squid would actually look like a squid. It's just all these random tentacles going everywhere. So then the witches are reborn. They start playing the song. All the women get up and start stripping and everything and make their way up to the stage. Then some other shit goes on. I don't even remember what the fuck was going on there. But then Sherry Moon's character, dressed as the Madonna or the Virgin Mary, whatever you want to call her, you know, with the robes and everything, is standing on this pile of these dead women, and she's dressed like the Madonna, except she's got like these antlers, and her eyes are ghosted or like just pure white, and there's this light shining out behind her as she's rising above all these women. And then it cuts to this scene of Sherry Moon Zombie playing fetch with her dog in a field, or like on her lawn or something, like in a park. Just sitting on a patch of grass, throwing the ball. The dog brings it back, and that's the end of the fucking movie. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so the Salem witch thing doesn't really matter to the whole plot of the movie, but this movie is a metaphor for drug addiction, is where I was at this point. I was like, okay, so this whole thing's just a metaphor for drug addiction. She had a drug issue. Uh, she was clean. She had a relapse. This is basically all the shit she was seeing as she was relapsing, and her rising as the light glowing Virgin Mary-esque thing, and then playing with her dog was her overcoming her relapse and getting back to normality. That's where I was going with it, based on all this fucked up imagery that Rob Zombie was throwing at us. Then, as the credits are rolling, they start playing these newscast reports about them finding all the dead women in the theater and how the Sherry Moon Zombie character is missing. They don't mention like the other DJs, like, their responses to the situation, nothing like that. It's just all these people are found dead in the auditorium. She's missing, and so okay, so it wasn't a drug metaphor. All this shit actually happened. So again, I'm just like, I have no idea what the fuck was going on. Rob Zombie is more interested in just throwing the most bizarre imagery at us that he doesn't piece together his story properly. It's almost like the whole fucking white horse thing in Halloween 2, except that was actually made a little bit of sense based on the little note that he put at the beginning of that film explaining what the white horse meant. There was no explaining anything. It's just fucking random imagery. Like at one point, during the concert or whatever, there's all these guys in robes holding red dildos, jerking them off, and Jesus, I don't know. In the first 5 minutes, or actually within the first 2 minutes of the movie, you get to see 8 naked women, and a lot more through the rest of the movie. So there's that whole porn factor for those of you who are into that. Not really the best naked women. They're old women, not so in shape women. The head witch, when she strips down, actually I think she was wearing like this prosthetic bodysuit made to look like nudity because it was really oddly deformed. So it's, if you're going into it looking for the nudity, it's not quite what you're going to expect. So I have no idea what the fuck was going on in this movie. Normally I like Rob Zombie stuff. This one, explain it to me, Rob. Put out the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever with your director's commentary. Explain to me what the fuck was going on in this movie so I can understand what the hell you were trying to tell me. Because otherwise, it's just a clusterfuck of weird images with some half-assed backstory about this chick that, why the fuck are we supposed to care about her? Anyway, I've rambled enough about this movie. Star rating, I liked this better than I liked Trance. Let's put it that way. Trance, although it wasn't a bad film, I just didn't know what the fuck was going on in Trance. As far as this, at least I at one point drew the drug metaphor, but until that fell apart, so that kind of hurts it. What the fuck did I give Trance as a rating? I don't know if I wrote it down in my book or not. Well, this was definitely better than Scary Movie. Jesus. Let's go with... I hate to give every fucking movie a 2.5, but that's really the state of the fucking industry right now. This movie's at best a 2.5. If it was a little more consistent in the storytelling and I was able to follow it better, it would have been a higher rating. But like I said, it's just a bunch of random fucked up imagery. There was one scene that really could have been spooky. At one point, the girl Sherry Moon walks into the kitchen, and half of your image is this dark corridor where the entryway to her apartment is, and then this other little bit is her kitchen, and then the last bit is the cabinets and shit. So it's like dark shadowy area, little lighted area, dark shadowy area. And I'm like, okay, they're focusing on the door because it's half the screen, so something's going to happen in this area. So that's where I'm focusing. But the thing you're supposed to be focusing on is on the other side of the screen, in the small little cabinetry area. So I'm sitting there looking at the screen, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to be looking for? And then they throw in one of those music things, that dong type of thing. And it's like, okay, something just happened. What the fuck did I miss? So I'm looking all over the screen, and then I see over in the dark cabinetry area, there's this fucking deformed figure standing right behind her. And it was like, that would have been better without that music sting, and just see how long before somebody fucking noticed it. First of all, it could have been framed a hell of a lot better. And secondly, like I said, just see how long it took before someone looked over and said, holy shit, where did that come from? That's what movies are fucking missing when they're trying to be spooky horror movies. You throw in these fucking stings, everyone knows the shit's coming, and they look for it. They're like, oh, what am I looking for? If there wouldn't have been no sting there, and I would just randomly glanced over the screen, like, okay, nothing's happening at the door, and looked back over at her to see what was going on with her, and saw that fucking thing standing there, I would have been like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? But no. And anyway, I've talked enough about this movie. I don't know what the fuck I even rated it, but yeah. That's Lords of Salem. I really can't say if it was a bad movie because I don't know what the fuck it was. It was a movie. How about that? Movie by Rob Zombie. You like Rob Zombie's fucked up imagery with barely any story that doesn't make any sense? Fucking, what were those other movies he did? The Devil's Rejects had a lot better fucking story than this. I was able to follow The Devil's Rejects. House of a Thousand Corpses or whatever the fuck it was, I could follow that one too. There was nothing to hold it together. Come on, Rob, explain this shit. Anyway, running out of tape here. Don't want to talk about this movie anymore. If you want to watch it to try and figure it out, watch it. Maybe you could let me know what the fuck it was about. Leave a comment, something. I don't care. It's Rob Zombie. If you like Rob Zombie, check it out. Other than that, not sure what I'm going to get around to seeing next. We didn't get as many new movies in as I thought we were going to get. The only other thing I think I haven't seen is Oblivion. I was trying to wait to see if I could get to see that in IMAX, but it's not in 3D, so seeing it in IMAX doesn't really matter. So, yeah, that's the only other thing I haven't really seen unless we get some more new stuff in anytime soon, so that'll probably be my next review. Not sure when I'll get around to it, but eventually. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the movies.